I have 4 exams.
A final presentation.
A process control final.
Project.
2 10-page papers due.
A final project.
Final
One
test.
take-home exam.
And 1 5-page paper. Actually, I have more projects than exams. It's, I think, more typical when you get in the upper level, when you get in upper level classes in your junior and senior year.
I think it'll be kind of the same as my high school finals, because like in my finals in high school were like set up college style where we had like 1 or 2 a day, so like it's not new to me.
I think it'll be a new experience because my first tests here were really like, I didn't feel prepared enough. I mean, I did okay, but I'm scared.
Usually previous years I've had 3 at the most, 3 actual exams at the most. For me, usually the week or 2 leading up to finals have been pretty busy. I usually have a lot of papers instead of final exams, or the final exam is given the last day of class, which is very popular for Peabody professors.
I remember freshman year, it was a lot of tests like chemistry. It would be, you have to memorize all these facts and you have to be able to do this and you have to have it all in your head. Whereas my exams this year are completely open note, open book. In some cases even open laptop, not open internet or anything, but open laptop because we need to be able to use Excel and those types of things. So it's actually a lot different than it was in previous years, or at least freshman year, because I don't spend as much time memorizing things. I spend a lot more time studying and trying to figure out how exactly I'm supposed to work these problems that I'm doing.
I kind of expect generally the worst part of finals is the studying before, and at least that's how it was in high school. Once you're actually in the exam period where you're knocking out exams, it's actually not that bad. The worst is just the weekend and the week before when you've got all the studying, but you can't really get finished with anything because you haven't turned in any of the papers or taken any actual tests.
I like to study in Olin Hall in my office. It has a pretty good work environment. Everybody else is in there working too, so it's pretty good to stay focused.
I like studying in the library in the stacks because it's quiet.
I'm a bit of a homebody, considering that Vanderbilt is our home for the 8 to 10 months we're here. So I do spend a lot of time in my dormitory. I tend to avoid those study lounges like the baseball glove lounge because for me, I'm a very extroverted person, and they say that extroverts tend to gravitate more, or at least do better in situations where it's not totally silent, totally quiet. Like I need to be somewhere where I'm, where there's stuff going on around me. I just can't be in this, just this very quiet atmosphere in order to really be productive. So
I don't like studying in baseball glove lounge. Way too quiet in there. I feel like every noise I make, everyone can hear.
Like the baseball glove lounge, that's really nice, although I do fall asleep, but it's pretty good.
I found that working in the baseball glove lounge, I was there a lot last year, not so much this year, was really good for me. You learn where there are outlets when you have a lot of papers and projects due, so Rand is not generally a place where you will find me.
Sometimes I like studying in Rand. That can be hard though because it's distracting with all the people. But
I like studying at the Central Library, so I'll probably go there. I also study at the Biomed Library.
My favorite place to study would be the Biomed Library because it's always silent, and I just really like the study carrel. It's really nice. So
I mostly study at night, and I'll go to the library upstairs in Peabody and study throughout the night until about midnight or 1.
I have a lot of classes on Peabody, so I'll work in the Commons sometimes because there's a lot of outlets.
I usually go to Peabody from like 10 to 1 or so because I like the computer lab there, but it closes at 2.
And Peabody is way too far away, so I'm not gonna go over there.
I try not to have to do work later at night. That's just my style, and it works for me. So I usually work in between classes, so sometimes I'll end up bringing a lot of unnecessary books around with me, but I get a lot of things done.
When and if I study, if it's at a coffee shop. I can't stand being on campus. It drives me absolutely nuts.
yeah, I usually go off campus to Starbucks,
or cafe cocoa?
I try to get all my work done in the in the normal work hours of the day. That's a big departure from where I went to undergrad, where I would do all my work after midnight. But being a grad student has helped me improve my work habits into a more normal time frame.
I don't like to pull all-nighters. I don't like to really stay up late. I do try to, get my work done during the daytime.
I have had to do some all-nighters. Now, by all-nighters, that doesn't mean that I'm not getting a wink of sleep, because typically what will happen with an all-nighter is you end up falling asleep over your books, even if that's just for 30 minutes. So I am getting some sleep when I perform the all-nighters, but we're talking maybe 2-3 hours at the most.
When I try to do something in the morning, I end up hitting snooze about 20 times and don't really get around to it. So I prefer to stay up really late and then just sleep in the morning.
I usually do late nights because I'm more of a night owl than I am a morning person. But I also try to wake up considerably earlier than I usually would, like around 8 or 9 in the mornings, especially this weekend, so I can get a lot of hours in studying, and I just drink a lot of coffee and caffeine.
I do tend to drink more caffeine. I have never had an energy drink. They kind of scare me, actually.
In past years, I've definitely had more caffeine. I can't drink caffeine anymore, so that's not an option. I now go for the sugar beverages. And I definitely snack a lot more when I'm eating. Unless it's the night before and I'm really stressed out, then I don't eat at all. But if I'm studying like a couple nights before, then I'll snack like all night long, which is really bad.
I sleep a lot less and I eat a lot more junk food and a lot less quality food. Munchie Mart is my life at all times.
I eat a lot. It's pretty bad. But I also do exercise as well. That's a big stress reliever for me. I go running a lot.
I eat more during finals time. I don't know. It's comfort. Food is comfort, so.
I also snack more, I guess. Just during studying to kind of keep me moving.
Yeah, I actually eat less during studying, like closer to the time, because I'm either sleeping or studying. I really don't have time to go to the Munchie Mart, or I just snack on whatever I have in my room. But
my eating habits might be better during finals week.
I start eating a lot healthier. We're talking lots of fruits, lots of vegetables. Those things just kind of lighten you up a little bit, and they're brain food. It's brain food. It stimulates you. It makes you feel a lot better than your typical caffeinated drinks, potato chips, junk food. Those
stress levels are pretty normal. Even though the 2 projects are really big, they're pretty spread out, and so I have a lot of time to work on them, so it's not too bad.
Well, I intended to do a lot more over Thanksgiving break, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So I'm trying to get all my homework done before this weekend so I can study all through next week.
I'm really not stressed. I look at it, if I go in with a positive mind, and if I don't overstudy, then I'll do well.
I guess I'm kind of stressed. I just want to do okay. Keep the GPA up, I guess.
I'm aware of when I'm getting stressed and when I need to take a break and when I need to take a breather, so I try not to get too stressed.
My stress relievers are my roommate and I having wine sessions, and we just yell and rant about whatever's happening. So that's pretty good therapy, I think.
There were a couple different groups on campus providing some services. I think we had Spa Spectacular, and we had a stress festival, and then the 2 groups partnered together to make Mega Stress Fest. And so now we just offer this opportunity for students to kind of wind down before they go into finals. The services include the massages, the chair massages over the clothes, facials, facial waxing, paraffin hand waxing, henna tattoo art. In the past years, even though we won't have this year, we've had pottery design, different arts and crafts, things of that nature. We have a game room, Wii games, Wii tournament stuff, and great food. And so, we're continuing on with that theme just so that, again, folks can kind of get away from some of the stresses of exam preparation, to have a minute to just totally unwind.
I got a henna, yes, and I'm about to get my eyebrows waxed, and then I'm getting a massage. This is so much fun. I love it. I got henna tattoo done. If you want to see, because it's beautiful. The lady did a great job, and then here too. And then I just got a massage. I felt really, really good. And you can look at my caricature.
Last year, we estimated roughly 300 to 350 students that were actually able to get serviced. But we think that there were more students that came who might have eaten and just didn't get a massage, or maybe they did something that wasn't appointment based, because some of the activities they don't have to have appointments, and then some of them they do.
This year we had the caricature artist, so you don't have to have appointments for that. You don't have to have appointments to come and get food. So a lot of people trickle in and out.
Free.
Totally free.
Totally free.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a great opportunity for students to just come in a relaxing environment and just chill out. And we strategically placed it on the Friday before the end of classes, so that, you know, next week a lot of people will probably be just preparing for exams, writing their last papers. So before they actually get started with that, they get to come out and just really enjoy themselves.
I think it's really great to like have this so that we can like get away on a Friday night and just kind of relax. And I know that this week and the next week is going to be incredibly stressful, not only for me and for the other freshmen who are experiencing their first finals, but also for people, you know, for like upperclassmen, especially seniors, you know. So I think it's a really great way for people to like kind of de-stress, as it says. So.
And if they are stressed, we encourage them to come and get a dessert, because stress spelled backwards is dessert. So check it out.
You know, one of the other things that we find is when students come to events like this, it reminds them of how to kind of take their own quiet time. Because some of the spaces that they'll be having some of the services in will be calm, mellow, relaxing, and hopefully they can kind of take some of that attitude into the finals.
Next week is going to be a really, really bad week for me. I have 3 presentations, 2 papers, and 1 project, so I really need this stress reliever.
The event will feature a dessert bar. Well, not just a dessert bar, but different food bars with food from all around the world. So we have Mexican, then we have American, like a
kind of Texicana
feel,
Creole. So
New Orleans style.
We try to do comfort foods in all these places. No caffeine, really. We're trying to avoid caffeine, except for the chocolate.
I'm not like a partier, but I do like to procrastinate a lot, which I usually do by like watching TV and stuff.
I would probably take breaks to go and talk to my friends, although that can turn into a bad habit. And then I'd also just like take a break and listen to music or read something for leisure.
I think it's divided. Some of my friends are going to be starting early and some are going to be waiting to the last minute.
I know a few that probably are going to cram just based on how they studied before.
I usually start studying a couple days before like an actual test, so I don't feel like I'm cramming. Like I don't pull all-nighters.
Not really. Just start early so you don't have to cram, hopefully.
Cram the night before. Feel guilty the week before for not studying earlier.
I'm kind of nervous about my chemistry final because like it's a lot of like we did like probably like 11 chapters, which is quite a bit, like quite a lot. It's like last year my AP Chem class we went over like 13 chapters of the entire year. So this is like, you know, yeah, my like end of the semester, like my AP test in like 1 semester. So
I'm taking chemistry at 7 p.m. on Saturday the 19th, the very last exam in arts and sciences. So, not happy about it.
Back many years ago, before we had a common final exam for Gen Chem, every section had their own exam day. And usually the way the times worked out, there was one at the beginning, a couple in the middle, and one at the end. And one of the sort of interesting tidbits was the exam scores decreased as you went through finals week. And so we could pretty much every year guarantee that the people that took the exam first would have the highest average, and then it would go down. And we speculate it's just sort of burnout during finals week, that that after you get through some, 2 or 3 tough exams, you lose your enthusiasm to study for the last exam, that kind of thing. And
advice for freshmen. Don't put things off. I know I sound like your parent, but that's when you start panicking, is when you put things off.
Plan what you're going to do, because there's a lot less time than you think there is.
I would say, as a fellow student, try not to procrastinate so much, and then hopefully your stress level will not be as high.
Find friends to study with. Chances are somebody else is panicking right along with you.
So decide which class is most important to you. I know I spend a lot of time during finals being like, I can't study for this, I don't have time, like which class is most important for me to get a good grade on.
Nobody's gonna remember what grade you got in chemistry. What you're gonna remember is your friends.
As long as you're not a senior, you know, finals aren't bad, you can always retake the class. It's okay. That's what I tell myself during finals. Or I used to tell myself. I can't tell myself that anymore because I have to pass them all. But freshman, sophomore, junior year, you shouldn't worry about finals too much. Just do the best you can.
What works for me might not work for you, you know, so just remember that, you know, this is also a trial period for you. And it's going to take, you know, if you find that you don't, if you didn't approach this semester as well as you might, you know, other semesters, or this final exam period as well as, you know, you might approach other final exam periods, know that it's a learning process, you know, and that, and that you'll always learn, and that, you know, if anything, you'll probably have a different final exam approach, you know, ideally every semester, you know.
I would say as a professional, oftentimes I hear students say, well, how does this really prepare me for the real world? How are finals preparing me for the real world? And my philosophy is that in the world of work, you will find that you'll get timelines thrown at you, deadlines thrown at you from your boss, or from other entities that you work with, other stakeholders. And finals actually is good practice on how to manage a bunch of deadlines at once. And what I have found as a professional is typically when it rains, it pours. So all my deadlines are at the same time, and I can draw back on how I manage the stress of finals as tools moving forward in my career. So that's the biggest tip I have, is think of finals like it's your job. And it kind of is like, oh, this is business, bam, 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 and you just start doing it. And so then it's less freak out, because it's like, oh, this is how I can kind of see that I'll use this kind of stressful time.